Okay, so I posted a video, or I filmed a video yesterday, giving a review of the Light Seer's tarot deck, and just that was kind of my initial reaction to it, and kind of going through it. I knew I really liked it, and in that video, I talked about seeing some of these cards come up in people's like readings that I was watching on YouTube, and I'd noted that there was a couple of cards that I kept seeing in those readings, and I would get this feeling of like, I really like those cards. Like I feel like the meaning is very clear. I can relate to the meaning. So that's what kind of prompted me to buy this deck. But yeah, like I said before, I'm definitely a beginner, and I've had a really hard time, like just the way my personality is. Maybe some people are really good at like they want to read and get to know everything about something. And be really knowledgeable about it. But for me, I have trouble like focusing and learning about things if I'm not. I'm good with like a mix of like reading and getting information and doing things hands on. I have a hard time kind of doing either one individually. I have a hard time just jumping into something without knowing anything, but I also have a hard time like reading about stuff and being able to like grasp everything that's going on without seeing it done in action, if that makes sense. So I've just kind of jumped headfirst into tarot. Like I'd watched some videos and I read some things, and then I kind of jumped in it, and I've just been kind of like trying like out pulling cards, every day, or, just whenever I feel like it. And then watching some videos on YouTube to try to get a better feel for it. So I'm definitely not an expert, but I just wanted to hop on and share something that I think is pretty useful. And I wish that I would have done this with all of my tarot decks starting out. And I don't know, maybe some of the other guidebooks have mentioned this and I just didn't read it and didn't follow it, because some of the decks like I read, it just really depends on my mood. They're like my first deck, I feel like I read through the whole like initial part of the guidebook, and some of it went in and some of it I just didn't pick up on, reading it that first time. But as I've gotten more decks and if I read more, but other decks I've just kind of got the deck, opened it up, and let's start pulling cards. And so that's kind of what I did yesterday with this one, but I decided to sit down and kind of read through the guidebook, and there was a pretty interesting like talks about the book and about the cards, and then there's this one section on page 7 that says connect with your cards. And basically they recommend, when you first get your deck, before you kind of jump into things, go through each card, look at each card, kind of think about how the cards make you feel, and then pick your light card and your dark card. And like, you don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing this. I think I spent maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. And what I did was I went through the whole deck and I just kind of made different piles. So if there were cards that like, I'm like, yeah, I like those. I feel like I really like those. And then there are other ones that were just kind of like, I like them, but not as much as these. I put them in a pile, and I had like 4 or 5, 6 different piles going on of just different levels of like how they made me feel. And there was like, piles of like, I know I like these, I like these a little bit less. Some of them were just like, these don't really give me any sort of feeling. So that ended up being my biggest pile. That was this one of just cards that I'm like, I don't really feel anything with these cards. And then there were some cards that I thought kind of gave me a negative feeling or a bad feeling, or there was just something about the card that I didn't like, and I put those in a pile. And so then I kind of went back through each pile, and I just, kind of did another sort, looking at them again, do I feel like, and actually a lot more cards ended up going into this kind of like meh pile as I did that. And then, some other ones I just kind of sorted them out. So I've got the cards. So basically, sorry, I'm rambling, but basically what this asks for is to go through the cards and pick the card that you feel like the most connected to, or your light card. Which card gives you like just the best feeling, for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be, whatever, just one, whatever reason, whatever card just gives you like a good feeling. And then the same thing to pick your shadow card. So it's whatever card just makes you uneasy, makes you uncomfortable, just doesn't really give you a good feeling. So that was kind of the whole goal in this. Number one, to kind of go through the cards, see what all the cards look like, get a feel for how the different cards make me feel, and then ultimately to pick my light card and my shadow card. And I've never done this before, and I kind of like this. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about what that process was like, and kind of how I came about it. Don't let this, if you decide to do this, like, don't let this influence the cards that you pick. But yeah, this was just kind of what happened to me. And actually, I would recommend, if you have a deck that you want to do this with, don't watch this next part. Like, stop right now and go ahead and go through your deck and pick your own. I say this because I tend to be influenced by other people. And so I feel like maybe some people would watch this and they would see my cards and be influenced by it and make, like subconsciously, pick cards that I picked because they saw me pick them. So if you have a deck that you want to do this with and find your light card and your shadow card, just stop now and go do that. But yeah, I did want to go through and just talk about how I felt about some of the cards. And so I picked these two cards out of the deck. I didn't feel like they were either my light cards or my shadow cards, but these were two cards that kept standing out to me when I watch other people's readings. These were, like, this actually I think was the card that ultimately caught my eye to look for this deck. Like, I don't know. Like, these cards just, they kind of have a special place for me, but I wouldn't say necessarily my light or my shadow card. So I pulled those aside. For my light card, this is the pile that I had. So I just want to show you the cards that I have kind of in my pile of the ones that I felt really connected to me. So the one I ultimately chose is the Star. I just, in the booklet it says you can pick it for whatever reason. If you like the characters, if you think the card is pretty, whatever. And this one, I don't know, I liked a lot of things about it. I liked this light up here. I liked the colors. The girl seems really, like, not overly happy, but just, like, content. I don't know, and it's kind of, like, outside in the field. Almost looks like just the little sparkles everywhere, the little twinkling. I don't know. I really liked this card. And so this was the one that I've chosen for my light card. But some honorable mentions, or runners up, I guess. The Hermit. I pulled this card. This was the one that kind of shot out at me yesterday during my pull. I do like this card. Again, it's kind of got like a soft, dreamy feel to it. And you've got kind of like the sky and some sparkles. Yeah, so that one also stood out to me. This one, I don't know, immediately when I saw it, I really liked it. Like, I'm not, like, in a relationship right now. I've got kind of a complicated situation, but I don't know, I liked how the, like, water was falling from the hands into the cups. I don't know, this card gave me a good feeling too. And this is a weird one, but, like, immediately when I saw this yesterday, when I was going through the cards, the Devil card stood out to me. And that's weird because usually, like, in some of the other decks, the Devil, looks kind of scary or whatever. And they've designed this in a way to where he looks a little bit scary, but, like, not scary at the same time. Like, he's got his hand reaching out. He's got, like, again, like, the sparkles in his hair, and his eyes don't look scary to me. So I don't know. I like this card a lot too. Like, this didn't give me a bad feeling. This card actually gives me a good feeling. So that was kind of one of my mentions. And again, kind of like that one with the cups. I'm not in a relationship. I don't necessarily feel like I want to be in a relationship right now, or want to look for one, but I liked this card too. Again, there's kind of like some little sparkles and some blowing, and I don't know. And then, yeah, I also liked this one. kind of similar thing. It seems like they're outside. You've got the big sky behind them, kind of some bright colors. I don't know. So those are kind of my top ones. And I did notice that all of these are some of the major cards. The only one that's not is the Two of Cups. So all of them are kind of like majors except for the Two of Cups that stood out to me, so I read part of the guidebook, and it said the major arcanas are kind of like the big things, like big change or you know, big things in your life. So yeah, but this is the one I'm going with for my light card. Even though I really like a lot of these, this was the one that I ultimately settled on. So beyond that, like, these were a bunch of cards that like gave me a good feeling but weren't, like, I have a lot of them. Like, in general, more of them gave me a good feeling than a bad feeling. And so this is just a stack. There's a couple of aces, Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups, Three of Cups. I really liked this one. This was kind of like shifted more towards I really like. Again, they're kind of like outside in a field. You've got the sky. That seems to be the vibe that I'm going with. And this one is kind of a mix. Like, I have like a like and a dislike with this one, but something draws me to it. I do like this one. I felt the same way about this one as well. I was like shifting towards putting it in my really like pile and then kind of the regular pile, but something kept drawing me back to this one. Same thing with this one. Like, I think I like this water down here, the look of that, but then I guess I don't really like the guy, but for some reason the infinity sign on his head like draws me to it, so this was kind of a middle one as well. And then these are just kind of, I don't know, they were just kind of, I liked them, but I didn't love them. And this one, I actually had it in my really like pile for a while, and then I ended up taking it out. There's something that just, I don't know. Again, there's things I like and things I don't like about this one. And yeah, same thing for this. This is just kind of like, I feel drawn to it, but I don't really know why. Like, aesthetically, I don't love it, but I feel drawn to it. And then I have like a lot more. Like, these were ones, yeah, kind of similar to that. Like, these were all aesthetically pleasing, and I felt drawn to them for some reason, but not enough to make it like my light card. And this is a weird one. This is one that I often get in my readings, it seems like, and I don't love it, but again, there's something about it. So these were all the ones like that. And this was a weird one because immediately I like first put it in my pile, but then something drew me back to it. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wanting love and I don't know it yet. So, but yeah, I put that in kind of my other positive pile, and then I don't really remember why. I think I just split these into different piles of like ones that I liked, but they kind of gave me a different mood about them. So this one, I liked this one, the Fool. You know, this one seems kind of like sad, but there was still something that I liked about that. So these are all kind of more like a sadness feel, but still a good feeling, I guess. Yeah. I wanted to like the Moon, but there's just something, I think I like the top half of the card, but I don't like the bottom half as much. I don't know. And then this one, I don't know. I feel like I like the Eight of Wands in other decks, but there was just, I still like it, but it was just something that was not like, I didn't love it. So that's like how I kind of separated out the ones that I knew that I liked, that gave me a good feeling, from the ones that so these gave me a good feeling. There was ones that I didn't really get any feeling. And then there was the ones that gave me kind of a negative feeling. So immediately I started going through with the negative ones, and I picked the ones that clearly were like negative from the cards, you know, that weren't going to give me a good feeling. So there's this one of like somebody crying, and then there's this one, you know, of her being like kind of like tied up, and then, you know, just kind of loneliness and sadness and, you know, whatever. These kind of gave me bad feelings. However, the ones that I actually picked in my part for the shadow cards were not, none of them had like these really dark kind of like illustrations to them. So actually one of them kind of did, but this one was actually the one that I picked for my shadow card, and I can't really explain why I dislike this one so much. Like, you know, the booklet said to pick one that makes you feel uneasy, the most uneasy, and even though, you know, these cards are all pretty dark, for some reason this card made me the most uneasy. And I don't know, you know, like, it's got characteristics of my light card, you know, it's got similar colors. I'm just thinking about this. This is the first time I've compared them, but like, they're both someone sitting down. You've both got kind of like the sky behind you. You've got colors, you've got sparkles. You've got like a big light up at the top, but for some reason this card made me, this was the one. I don't know. But yeah, so that's that. The other two that I picked, like for some reason this one, I don't know why, I don't really like the staircase, I think, in that. I don't like how that looks being on her head. So that was kind of like a runner-up for my shadow card. And then this one, I don't know that I would necessarily, but I don't know. Whenever I first saw this, I just didn't care for this one. You know, it's kind of a guy running. He's got a bow and arrow. He's running to a motorcycle. Like, I don't know. Yeah, but I would say these two were the ones for some reason that made me the most uneasy, and ultimately I went with this one. So here is my light card and my shadow card, and I would recommend like going through your decks and doing this, because, you know, it kind of got me to look at the deck without feeling like the pressure of like I've got to pull the right card or whatever. It's just, I don't really, yeah, I've been going through the cards, but I don't really know the meanings of all these yet. So I wasn't going by meanings or anything. I was literally just going by what's on the card and how it makes me feel. And so there you go. So yeah, I would recommend, especially if you're new to tarot and you have a new deck, go through the cards and pull and see what's going to be your light card and your shadow card. I don't really know how to use them very well. I read through this, and it says, well, I can just read this real quick. It says, your light and shadow cards will be your trusted allies and guides as you work with your tarot. They will become your messengers along the path. Often the cards you choose as your light card will feel the most like where you are headed, and it will represent who you want to be. Consider it to be a special nod from the cards when it shows up in a reading, because it's going to be your big yes card, the card that lets you know you are on the right track. Conversely, your shadow card will be the one that stirs up the most feelings of discomfort. Quite often, this is because this card has an important lesson to teach you. Spend some time with your shadow card now if you like. And then I did, like, I stopped and I kind of like looked this card up and looked at what it meant. And it says, maybe you find its meaning in the guidebook and pull out your journal. What lesson does this card have for you right now? What is it about the card that rubs you the wrong way? Maybe it's the character in the card or the situation you seem to be in. Perhaps they remind you of a time in your life or a person from your past. Most important, try to discern how this card could have a positive influence on your life if you were easily able to accept the wisdom found on the card. We can often learn a great deal about the challenges that we are facing inside of our darkest shadows. As you work with the Light Seer's Tarot, your shadow card will serve as a gentle reminder that some aspect of your situation is being blocked by shadow that you've created, and that there is a massive opportunity to turn things around by working with a more positive mindset. So, I don't necessarily know how to interpret that yet, but I feel like, well, let me just read what my shadow card is. So this card says, on the shadow side, it says outdated systems or ways of thinking, dogma, rebelling against societal norms, abuse of power, stagnation. ego-based leadership, and need to connect with spirit. And so I have talked about that like in my other videos of how, you know, I've been doing tarot, but I don't feel connected with it, you know, and I don't know if I will. And maybe that's the blockage. Maybe, like, I don't feel like I have like a negative view of it. I don't feel like I'm blocking myself from being connected to it. I feel like I'm very open to it, but I'm not gonna feel something that's not there, you know. So yeah. But anyways, it says, as you search for your divine truth, you create frameworks of belief that help you expand your consciousness and ground your faith into this reality. If you've been stuck in an old tradition or a structured way of acting or being that is no longer serving you, it is time to let it fall away in order to make space for a better version of you. The Hierophant serves as a gateway between divine source and the seeker. So be open to new paradigms, perspectives, and teachers in your life. Look to the patterns around you and strive to understand your own internal compass. Know that while there is wisdom in the teachings of the mystics, the voice of your own heart is the one voice that matters the most. Find the wisdom of the heavens within. And then it has like a little affirmation at the bottom, and it says, I am my own guru, and the guidance I need is rooted in my faith, my belief, and my unique essence. So that's my shadow card. And then, I don't know, let's go ahead and read the star. Why not? For my light card. I read it already, but let's read it again. So there it is in the book. So the light side, expectations fulfilled, wishes granted, opportunities, healing after traumatic events, knowing you're on the right path, inspiration, and renewed hope. So it says, sink into the dreamlike inspiration of the star. She sends a message of divine timing and renewed hope, and she guides you to reach for that string of serendipity and faith. Your future is increasingly bright, and you are blessed by the universe. Your core purpose is beginning to bubble at the surface of your reality, and your path is intrinsically tied to your biggest missions and brightest opportunities for expansion. Step onto a path of fulfillment and happiness with starlight to guide you. Allow your innate essence to shine through any residual darkness right now. Uncover any limiting beliefs or self-doubt that you're holding on to. Find the courage to voice any unexpressed emotions and release every bit of outgrown energy that is anchoring you to the past. It is time to release and ascend. As you let go, you will focus on the future and you will find your biggest source of inspiration and love. The stars are aligning in your favor, and it's time to trust them. And then the affirmation is, I expect miracles. So I like that. But yeah, I know this is kind of long and rambling, but I just thought I would share that with you because this is the first time I've done this, and I feel good about it. Like, I feel like it's pretty useful to help me kind of connect to the deck and kind of go through and think about like how I'm feeling based on, you know, which cards I was attracted or repelled to. So I guess that's all I have. If I come across any more things that I'm learning as I'm kind of going along, I'll try to, you know, sit down and film a quick video about it. So yeah, I guess that's it.